So, as we mentioned earlier on before the break, COVID-19, a new variant that's been discovered in South Africa. We had the announcement by the health minister and scientists, and we're looking at the implications of this on various industries, which we spoke about earlier on. So, we look now at the virus outbreak in the country. The South African Civil Aviation Authority saying that it would like to provide an update in relation to its operations at this time. Popy Khoza is the director of the South African Civil Aviation Authority, and she joins us now to tell us about the COVID-19 measures applicable to passengers. A very good evening to you. Thank you so much for speaking to us.
Good evening, SABC. Thank you for having us.
So we've obviously had a number of changes as a result of COVID-19, but at this stage in the game, so to speak, as I mentioned earlier on, there's an announcement of a new variant, and the virulence thereof is something that is of great concern. What position does this put you in, and do you have any major concerns?
So at this point in time, as a public entity of government, we obviously take our cue from the Department of Health and from government in terms of whether we should adjust any protocols or safety measures, as it were. At this point in time, we are not at that point. We are still maintaining the directions or the protocols as they were published by the Minister of Transport at the beginning of this month. And we are still emphasizing on the issues of social distancing, the issues of hand sanitizing, ensuring that we observe all safety protocols, particularly as passengers are planning their journey to their destinations. So the status quo at this point in time remains. We are very worried, of course, as everybody else, with the variant. However, as I've indicated, that government has not indicated, in fact, they've called for calm, as well as to say that we should maintain the safety protocols as we know them. So at this point in time, they are still working for us.
I'd imagine that the social distancing or physical distancing aspect must be the most challenging for the airlines, given the fact that ordinarily, the seating is in close proximity. So that hits the bottom line if there are less passengers to be taken on. But what other implications does it have? Take us through that, your procedure and operations.
So these are scientifically proven because, SABC, you will remember that viruses have been with us for the longest time, different viruses, I mean. And the aircraft, in terms of the sophistication of its systems, is able to, cleanse the air, filter out the viruses and so on. As you would be aware by now that we do have, our minister talks about it all the time, the HEPA filters, which are able to kind of filter out the viruses that could be inside the cabin. Cabins, by their nature, you can't open the windows. As you know, when you fly, the windows are closed, and we're heavily reliant on the air that is circulated through these filters, and which is cleansed in very short intervals. And so it has been working for the longest time. So when coronavirus, hit us, that system was able to continue, to filter the virus out and so on. But over and above that, because we have we've adopted a layered approach in terms of ensuring that safety is preserved. Firstly, as you come to the airport, you are going to be subjected to screening. Of course, mask wearing is law in South Africa, so you can't even access the terminal building without wearing a mask. You will be screened. There's sanitizer stations all over the airports as you pass through the security screening point. We have a lot of contactless, processes in place, including check-in as you go through the security checkpoint, as you go to board your aircraft. So we've tried to kind of come up with systems that will ensure that we maintain the social distancing, but also ensure that there's less contact between passengers and check-in agents or airport staff as much as possible. And we've tested the system since we started opening for domestic air travel up to the international air travel. And I can tell you that the systems are working very well, collaborating together with the airports as well as the airlines to make sure that we try as much as possible to minimize the spread of the virus through air travel.
So,
and so I can attest. Yeah.
We've had air travel for a little while now, given the fact that there was a relaxing of the restrictions. Belligerence of passengers is something that airline hostesses are faced with. So in this case, what measures do you have in place if people are not complying with these regulations?
So, Tsepiso, I must indicate that majority of the passengers are complying. We do have pockets of, challenges here and there, but I can almost indicate that we go by a day without having a single incident or reported incident to the authorities as well as the airlines. The airline crew is well trained to be able to handle. You would recall that sometimes passengers would have unruly passengers. So the training of airline crew to handle such situations is far advanced because it's been there for the longest time. Those that break the law, because the issues of wearing masks, as I did indicate, as you know, Tsepiso, it is law in South Africa. If you break the law, I can promise you that by the time you land at your destination, the pilot in command would have communicated with ground to get the South African police services to take care of that situation. So it is non-negotiable at all. And this is what the airline crew is trained, to deal with, even when passengers get unruly, which is very, very, I must say, very limited. It's not, we don't have too many encounters of that nature. But if it does happen, it gets dealt with decisively to an extent that a criminal charge is laid against that passenger.
All right, thank you so much for speaking to us. Good news to hear that passengers are compliant, but a very stern warning for those of you who think that you can circumnavigate the laws that are in place. Speaking to us from the South African Civil Aviation Authority, its Director, Ms. Popy Khoza. Thank you so much.